This is Ace Retro, and today I'm just going to be doing a quick run through Marvel Land. Now, this is one of my favorite obscure Namco games, as well as just Genesis games in general. I didn't find out about it until recently when I started getting into collecting and what have you again. It's very simple, very straightforward, but like Super Mario, there's just a ridiculous amount of warps, and also this is a port of an arcade game, and this whole opening sequence did not exist in said arcade version, so this is just something they added. But it's basically good versus evil, but I'm gonna go ahead and let it play anyways, just to show everything I can here. Not to be confused with any superhero properties, by the way. But yeah, basically the whole thing with this game is you're rescuing three fairies. They have these things called Trident crystals, and actually you kind of need those to beat the last guy. Now it is possible to get up to him without freeing any of them, but obviously you're shit out of luck then, because these orbs kind of just hover around you, and you have to get them to smack into them. To my knowledge, there's just no other way to do it, so I'm going to be warping around quite a bit, but obviously I'm going to go ahead through some of the bosses, which are also kind of unique, in that they're not traditional fights up until the last guy. They're actually like mini games. Like the very first one is like rock, paper, scissors. So I mean, obviously somebody at Namco really liked Alex Kidd. Not only that, but the treasure chests in this game also kind of look like the ones in Enchanted Castle. And I do have to say though, for an early game, they did a pretty good job with this opening cutscene. I think this is 1990, 1991, something like that. Might have even been pre-Sonic, though I'd have to check that date out for sure. And at least they got the right translation in here. It's not English, which always impressive for an early game. Anyways, alright, we're about to start out here in World 1, Area 1. I mean, that's a pretty creative title, if I do say so myself. But yeah, mainly, right now the only thing I can kind of do is jump on enemies, but as you'll see here in a second, there's also these things you can kind of push them and they'll roll off and just knock into them like bowling pins. This is also one of those games where it is one hit kills you, so definitely not the easiest game to play, but I really enjoy running through it every so often. Yeah, basically this is called the Spirit Whip. I think that's what the manual calls it. Basically you're kind of just chucking clones of yourself out. And here's the end here. You want to obviously try and hit the bullseye to get the maximum amount of points. Also, with this Spirit Whip thing, there are certain like walls you can break down and stuff, and that's actually going to be crucial for a late game warp that I'm going to go ahead and show off here. That will be in World 3. Anyways, yeah, those are the treasure chests. I'm pretty sure those have to be directly lifted from Enchanted Castle. It's just uncanny, the resemblance there. Yeah, no, if I remember correctly, there's here's one of the mini warps. I'll go ahead and do, obviously, this is kind of a speedrunner's wet dream because there is an optimal path, and I don't think I'll be doing the one that's optimal for speedrunning, but still in all, I will be using a lot of warps because I really don't want to deal with what is it, World 4, because there is just, it's basically, they also added that just for this version of the game, but none of the levels are really that well designed. It's kind of like they wanted to incorporate momentum similar to Sonic, but they just didn't do it as well. So again, I tend to skip that one. Okay, that wasn't very good, but well. I'm actually kind of just getting used to running through games on emulators. I'm used to playing this on the real thing, which obviously there's less input delay, all that good junk. And it's been a little bit since I played this, but obviously I'm gonna go ahead and get through it. I'm trying to remember if there was anything over here that was really worth my while. I don't think so. So I'm just gonna go ahead. Obviously, oh, and having these dragon wings, I believe they're on some kind of timer, so it's either after a certain amount of use or just whenever time expires, but they let you fly around. And also, in every world, there is a little roller coaster stage like this. Now, these were in the arcade, but they made more use out of like scaling and rotation, which I guess at this point they just couldn't figure out how to do it, which kind of surprises me that there isn't a Super NES port of this, because that probably would have been really good. They were really trying to show off the Mode 7 with that right from the get-go. So it could have just been some kind of contract thing, I'm not 100% sure, but if they wanted to make this closer to the arcade, they probably should have went with the Super NES. But as this is a pretty good game, and a decent conversion from what little I've seen and played of the actual arcade game. I also know, well, possibly that there aren't any warps in the arcade version. I think that's also another thing they kind of added to kind of differentiate this, I guess, to make it a little bit more accessible at the same time. So it's like I said, not the easiest game in the world, considering there are one-hit kills and all that good stuff. There isn't even a shield weapon, honestly. It's kind of just one hit. Nothing really to protect yourself except your feet, and obviously this spirit whip thing. Okay, now I know for sure there is a warp up here somewhere. I just know there's also a lot of unfriendly things in the sky that obviously are trying to kill me. These poor worker ants, I mean, they didn't do anything to me. They just want to push rocks around all day, but, you know, we can't let that happen. This amusement park is under attack. Anyways, yeah, this should take me to, actually the last stage in this world, surprisingly. So yeah, basically there are 6, 7 levels per world, and there are 4 worlds. This is also right here something they changed in the arcade version, and I believe also the Japanese Genesis Mega Drive port of this. This is a pentagram, but obviously we can't have satanic references in our video games in America, so, you know, that couldn't happen. And coming up, we have the first boss fight, which is a rock, paper, scissors match. Like I said, the Alex Kidd vibes in this are pretty strong. So basically, it's just the best of 3. And this is a reason I would not want to speedrun this game, because this can be RNG hell. I've had instances where I played this and there was just tiebreaker after tiebreaker. Okay, let's see what I get. Basically, you know, if you got the winning combination, you can attack, but if they do, you just block it. So, pretty simple. Like I said, that might very well happen here. We shall see. Okay, and even, you know, as long as I successfully block or whatever, that also counts as a victory, so if I get this one, the game's over. Or not. Okay, there we go. You go do that. Alright, with that we have the first crystal. I'm probably going to be getting 2 of them in this run, which is enough to kill the last guy, so not too worried. And here's where they have a lot of other Namco references. I mean, that's Pac-Man right there. They've also got the character from the Valkyrie games coming up. And also, I forget the name of it, I think it's Wagonland? Something like that. And there's also, okay, it's not this one, but there's also Warlow, which he had his own game, and that was kind of a spin-off of the Valkyrie games on the Super Nintendo, and I do need to check that out at some point, because I've only really briefly played it. Another game that nobody really talks about. Okay. Yep. And you can almost kind of like Mario 3, just kind of fly over everything if you just tap the button, but more specifically I want this warp point. Like I said, that's another reason I really enjoy playing this game, is there's just so many different shortcuts you can take. You can kind of just play at your own pace, really, so even if they're kind of inertia-based phase controls, once you get used to that, this is a really good game. And just something, you know, if you want something short and sweet that you can kind of just finish, you know, in a short period of time, definitely you could go with a lot worse, in my personal opinion. Okay, here we are. Almost got it. Ah well. And of course, we need a game with buff ducks. I mean, I wonder, they're certainly not feeding the friggin' birds, what have you, crackers out here. Giving these birds steroids. I love how he kind of just like uses his finger and he's like, ah, come here, bitch. Cracked me up the first time I got here. I was just kind of playing this for fun. I could go for that, but that platform actually lowers, so it's kind of not worth it. Unless I was trying to get a high score, but technically, I mean, you could just loop the game over and over, as there is a warp at the very end of the game that just sends you right back to World 1, Area 1. So you can get as many points as you like, so that's kind of a moot point there. Okay, and through one of these there should be a warp. That'll lead me to an extra guy. And I can come back out, and then there will be another gimmick of this game, which are these points you can latch on with the Spirit Whip and kind of fling yourself around. Almost kind of like Rystar, but not really, as you can see. It's not like full 360 degrees or anything like that, but still kind of a cool little gimmick, though I honestly think they could have done more with it. Yeah, well, perhaps in a sequel. That obviously never happened. Since, hardly anyone ever talks about this game. And on top of that, that brings me to another point with all these, like, classic compilations. Like, Namco should just do one where, excuse me, it's all the games where they really don't bring them out, because in almost every friggin' Namco museum, you have your 50th and, version of Pac-Man, Dig Dug, Mappy, which, of course, they're classics, they're iconic, they're fine games, they should be there, but all the same, it would be nice for them to include some of the more obscure titles in their catalog. Though at least one of the ones on the PS1, and I forget which one it is, has Pac-Land, which is probably one of my favorite Pac-Man spin-offs besides the Pac-Mania, which was the isometric view in the Legoland, where Pac-Man could actually jump, but then the Ghost could as well. Pac-Land is like a side-scroller similar to this. Never was very good at it though, couldn't ever get that far in it, at least not the arcade version. I know there's a Famicom version of that, and also a TurboGrafx 16 port, but I'm never going to be bothered with the Turbo version because TurboGrafx is ridiculously expensive to collect for. Unlike Sega Genesis, like, I think this cost me 15 to 20 bucks card only, if I remember correctly. So, a little bit more than, some of your main classics like the Sonic games, but definitely worth it if you just want a new game in this style of play that you probably haven't heard of. Anyways, yeah, this waterfall background is kind of a trip when you're playing it on a CRT. The effect isn't nearly as overbearing as on an emulator, fortunately. Kind of like that waterfall in Super Mario 2, which, yeah, no, that is not very pleasant to look at. At all. And it was probably going to fail at that one, but again, doesn't really matter. Only really adds up your points. And you get extra men, at set point intervals as well, so. Now there should be a lift coming down here, so I can skip this water and all this junk. And that's another thing I really like about this game, and I guess something that's sort of similar to Sonic, to where there are all these multiple paths you can take. And sometimes, the high ground is probably the best, whereas the low is pretty dangerous. At least that's kind of the formula when it comes to classic Sonic level design. It's kind of present here. These elves, by the way, they just, all they really do is just extend your spirit whip by maybe 1 or 2 clones, probably points, but again, alright. Sometimes it's possible to overshoot that and get yourself killed, by the way, so definitely gotta be careful with that, launch point. And perhaps one of the main problems with this game, and this situation above me is probably going to kind of illustrate it, but some of the platforms don't always sync up. So, again, you kind of just have to be patient and take your time, but fortunately it cooperated that time for me, which is good. And coming up is actually a spot where if you're new to the game, you can kind of like farm extra men. But basically, you have to go through this little sliding block puzzle, and there will be a series of extra guys once I get through it. And because of the way the checkpoints are, I'll be like spawned back up there, and all the extra men in the game, all the pickups and everything will respawn. But anyways, I'm just gonna let this wear out because obviously it increases my jump height, and so I might miss this one if I decide to jump right here. I don't really need it for the rest of the level anyways, so no biggie. But yeah, basically once you come out this door, you can just find a way to kind of suicide, and then, like I said, these 3 extra guys will respawn for you. If you want to just do things naturally and, you know, without the aid of save states and what have you, which, believe me, in a game like this, that can be tempting. Especially starting out. Just like I said, it has a little bit of a learning curve to it. Anyways, we're coming up on the second boss here, which is basically find the right plunger and blow up the opponent's balloon. So, nothing too crazy, and fortunately it isn't too RNG dependent, so it's usually the switch in the middle or at the bottom. Usually I'm able to find it pretty quickly, and at that point it's just mash the buttons. That's really all there is to it. Oh, there was one mistake. Balloons, they forgot the additional L, but oh well, again, they did a pretty good job of translating this. Anyways, yeah, see, so this was the middle one, so I'm in luck here. Now, I really don't know what that text in the upper left hand is supposed to be. I am playing the official or finished NTSC ROM, and that also happens on my cartridge. So, again, that's kind of mysterious. But if anyone has an explanation, I sure as heck would like to know. Anyways, yeah, we got some more obscure characters here. Again, and that's another thing I really like about this game. There are references to their Namco franchises, kind of similar to what Konami does in their games. You know, they kind of cross-reference everything. Like, I swear, a thing with like the early Konami games, there's always one section that has to be like similar to Gradius. But again, no shame in that. It's always great when they can kind of cross-reference that stuff. And so here we are in Candyland, which a couple of the levels in this are pretty tricky. Okay, yeah, and I forgot that one actually syncs as well, which is unfortunate. Again, sometimes you just really don't know. This is sort of a game you have to learn, as opposed to kind of just taking it step by step. There are just going to be times where you are going to die starting out because you simply did not know, you know, the workings of the level. So that's another thing, you know, if you're willing to put up with a little bit of trial and error, kind of do some repeat runs, then the game definitely becomes a lot better for it, or for you, I should say. Yeah, I'll be honest, I didn't really care for this one the first time I played it. It's something that kind of grew on me with repeat runs, so yeah, that's one you have to be kind of careful on. Because sometimes the momentum will take you up, and sometimes it won't. You'll just be sinking in the chocolate water. I assume that's chocolate. I hope it's not mold droppings or anything like that, because that is these are the bad guys. They're basically molds. Though if I'm honest, first time I played this, they kind of looked like James Pond clones. Speaking of James Pond, could James Pond be on any more systems. I believe RoboCop just got ported to the Switch, which, you know, that's probably the billionth port of that. There's no system that's free from James Pond. It's just inevitable. If you make a console, James Pond just has to be on it. No friggin' exceptions, though. If I'm honest, I hope Hamster will port the arcade game, seeing as the Switch is home to a lot of arcade ports, and they're the ones typically handling those. I have a couple of them myself, including Blues Journey. I know I have Versus Mario Brothers, which I can't honestly recommend for Switch. There seems to just be a ridiculous amount of input lag for Versus Mario Bros, which kind of sucks. Since that's basically kind of just like a harder version of the NES game. I believe it recycles some of the levels from the Japanese Mario 2, but I could be wrong on that. Anyways, if I'm not mistaken, it's this one I need. This level is actually kind of sort of a maze in some regards, and some of the later levels, which I'll be skipping over, are also sort of maze-like, which I didn't care too much for them. Labyrinthine kind of level design is definitely not something I'm particularly fond of, unless it's Metroidvania or something like that. Yeah, there should be another grapple point up here if I can reach it. Kind of launch myself to the end. And you can go over it, though I think that just gives you 500 points. Yeah, I don't know if the audio is going to pick up on it, if that's just my dog barking in the background. Hopefully you can excuse that. I'm really trying to train her, get her to stop doing that so often. It's one of the main reasons I kind of put off recording long plays and what have you, at least with commentary. I don't really have any kind of soundproof barriers or anything like that. I'm kind of just doing this for fun after all. Show off some games that a lot of people haven't played, haven't heard of. Kind of give my personal experience with. Oh boy, yeah, sometimes that can happen too. Though the real stinker with that is that there are no checkpoints in these courses, so you kind of have to start them over from scratch. But fortunately, they did give me a power-up right here, so it's not all bad. Again, the momentum in this thing is kind of finicky. I wasn't expecting that ridiculous burst of speed from that jump. Again, with these courses, generally speaking, usually getting on the top is probably the best thing, because it leads to these little loop-de-loops, which were actually a little bit more impressive on the arcade version, but it's understandable. This was an early title, so they didn't quite have the hardware figured out just yet. Okay, and this next level is probably one of the trickier ones in the game. Because there are these logs you have to roll off of, and they're not exactly the easiest to get through. Now, hopefully if I die here, I can kind of... No, I may not be able to abuse the iframes. There's actually a level later on where you have to kind of abuse the iframes a little bit, because they just throw so much crap at you, which that's the last level actually. But if you I am gonna do a warp that's gonna kind of get past that part, but if I wind up screwing it up, it will put me at the very beginning of the last level. So you have to be really, really freaking careful here. And I did all of that because I most definitely want to be fully... Yeah, see, I didn't even see that coming, because sometimes you'll just freaking fly off that bouncy ball. But if you watch some speedruns of this, because there actually are people that speedrun this, you'll see how they just totally exploit all of that to get the best time possible. Again, another reason why I would not like to speedrun this game. But then again, I really don't care for speedrunning in general. It's nothing against the people that do it, but it kind of makes the games unenjoyable for me. Now, this is one part where I got hung up. You're actually supposed to jump on those, so hopefully I can line this up good. It looks scary, but it's honestly not as stressful as it looks. To be 100% honest with you. And I might be able to do a warp here, if I'm lucky. Again, it's one of those scenarios where the platforms don't really line up too terribly well. Okay, it's gonna let me do it, I think. Yep. Yeah, because sometimes I've gotten there and the platform just doesn't line up. So it makes it really difficult to make this jump, maybe even impossible. Okay, drop down here, and we're already going to be on the end of this world, though I'm not going to be taking on the boss, as there's a warp coming up. It's probably one of the most useful warps in the game. But it does require that you have the spirit whip thing. These strawberries are worth a lot of points for some reason, but you do have to hit down to kind of collect them, so... Okay. Sometimes that Medusa causes problems if you don't take her out. Okay. Now up here should be an extension thing. Okay, I completely charged one, which helps because there's a wall I have to bust down here. I can push this, and this leads to another warp, but we're not going to do that. Instead, we're just going to go right here, which puts us relatively close to the end of the game, as a matter of fact. Okay, now here's where I need to be careful, especially because I died there like an idiot. Oh, really? Couldn't even see that, and I was simply just trying to line that up. I didn't know they could fire off screen like that till now, honestly, but the more you know. I'm trying to think if there's anything worth my while up there, but okay. Let's wait for her to kind of flash once. Maybe again. Okay, cool. Now here's where you have to be careful, because there will be a set of wings that you need, and you have to kind of do it specifically in that order, or else you're obviously going to get roasted. Here's where the high jump of the dragon wings can kind of interfere with things just a tad. Take these guys out. You kind of want to get that when it's on the angle there, so you don't jump up and accidentally hit the spikes. I've done that before, but fortunately out of all the stupid mistakes I've been making, that was not one of them. Okay, cool, I got an extra man there. I haven't really been keeping track of how many I have, which is something I normally do for a game like this, but oh well. Oh, okay. Chill out there with the tongue. Yeah, you have to get super close to them when you only have one clone. Okay, as long as I can take out one of these stinking Medusa heads, I'm happy. I should be able to get this one. Maybe not. That's okay. Alright, and this here is the final level, though again it has this bit of a problem with the platforms being kind of finicky, so I do not know if I'm gonna die here or not. Sometimes you can kind of get lucky, but this just is a ridiculously precise jump, and I can't believe I just made that. Thought for sure I was gonna screw it up. Oh, really now? I have never actually had that happen, to be completely frank with you. Alright, let's see if I can actually do this. Yep, see what I mean? Kinda have to start moving just as soon as the game resets there, or rather the level. This time it should be closer, yep. Cool. And now I need to watch it here. Seeing as the platforms are kinda goofy. Hopefully after a few cycles it'll give me a good chance to jump on it, like now. Fortunately, the level wasn't too bad after this point. Yeah, see, those don't actually hurt you, they just blow you around a little bit, which is what happened earlier. It's very important that you duck there. And we got some dragon wings, which again will make things a little bit simpler. Get past these spring platforms, and there's the final boss door right there, which will start out with a traditional mini-game, but then you have more of a traditional one-on-one kind of fight with them. Pretty simple block puzzle right here, so you kind of just fly through there like that. And this upcoming minigame is basically going to be whack-a-mole. We're saving the princess this time to serve a fairy, so there's that. But yeah, basically you pop out of the holes and you basically just need to hit the opponent, though it is kind of easy to mistake yourself for the boss, but one thing worth noting is that the boss is always going to pop out before you, so that's something that does help a little bit with these games, and also, you know, if you lose, you have to reset the whole level, so that's never fun. Trying to avoid that here. Nope, obviously, he was one space over, so I couldn't do anything about that. Again, this is also another part that can kind of be RNG dependent, so it's definitely not the same, but really? That was very weird. I thought I was able to hit him that time. Now, hopefully, because this end guy is actually pretty tough, though if you get him in a certain pattern, it does make life easier, but sometimes he kind of just does whatever. Wow, and my game just oh, I thought my game crashed there. I seriously don't know if that will show up in the recording or not, but I thought the game soft-locked, which would have really sucked. Oh my god. Okay, yeah, I guess it's just my emulator is a little laggy at this point. Makes me wish I could kind of, like I said, eventually I'll get them into a pattern that's relatively simple to win with. Which again, it's another reason to have a lot of extra men you can dispose of. Like I said, it's been a minute since I played this, and there's a very specific way that you can do this to make life easy. But basically, he kind of just shoots out lightning and kind of does that. He kills me. I don't know why I'm having so many problems with this fight. Normally I can get it over with, but obviously that's not very well happening. And again, yeah, this is probably the main part I struggle with, and there is a part after this, but fortunately, it's really nothing. See, sometimes he'll like go off screen, which really sucks when he does that. Right now, I kind of just wish he would freaking die and this emulator would stop lagging. Because it's just dropping the frames for some reason. And again, another reason why I wish I could record off the real hardware, but I can't do that right now, so I'm making do with what I do have, so there is that. Okay, there we go, thank goodness. Though that was pretty terrible. But, well, at least it didn't, like, completely drain me of my livestock. But yeah, basically there is a escape sequence coming up here. Basically you just need to escape with the princess, and that's all there is to it. It's basically go right the stage. Although there is a way actually, and I have seen it for myself before, you can clip through the trigger for the ending sequence. And apparently that's also something It's killed many speedruns of this game from what I've seen. So just that's literally the only thing you really need to watch out for here. Kind of just sit here and do nothing, honestly. Honestly, don't want to move because of the whole momentum thing. If I had never gotten thrown off here, fortunately. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I prefer to just jump there, because sometimes if you don't do anything, that little glitch where you just fall straight down instead of triggering the ending will happen. But yeah, that was basically Marvel Land. Good game, has a few quirks, but definitely underrated. Definitely worth checking out if you like platformers and you're just looking for something new to play in that kind of arena. And as you'll see, they actually went through the effort of naming all the characters in this game, which is kind of cool. I always like when during the credit rolls they'll kind of show all the names. Honestly, reminds me of Donkey Kong Country a little bit, since each and every one of those games kind of ended with a curtain call like this, or it just rolls through all the characters and enemies and what have you. Anyways, yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this kind of let's play, long play, whatever you want to call it. Feel free to reach out to me over Twitter at RetroOutcast for suggestions or perhaps a request, or through here, of course. I don't care. I definitely watch both frequently. One other thing I'm going to go ahead and just point out, in the Japanese version, there is no kind of congratulations message or anything like that. That's kind of just something they added for this North American release. It just has that background after the credits are done rolling like this, but as you'll see, I'm going to get a message showing my high score and basically good job, and I'll go do it on hard mode, which I might go ahead and do for this channel at some point. It's been a while since I practiced that. I definitely wouldn't be in any state to do it now, but anyways, yeah, again, that was Marvel Land, and I hope you enjoyed.